Hey folks, welcome to the Do-It-Yourself Dad Channel. Today we're going to be checking out this thing. This is the new Wyze Cam Pan V2. Now, I have the original one right up there. You can see it in the background, and it's yellow. And the reason it's yellow is because it's been outside getting blasted in the desert sun now for 2 years. I'm actually surprised it's held up as well as it has, but it's still working, and it's actually still following me around. So it's doing its job. Now this thing promises much better night vision, which is great because since that thing is inside an enclosure, I'm not able to really use the night vision because it relies on LEDs. This one, it doesn't, so it should look a lot better. Now I'm also going to be comparing this against its closest competitor, which is the Eufy 360 camera. I currently have that one in my garage. So we're going to compare all three cameras so you can make a smart purchase decision for yourself. Now, before we jump into how this whole thing works, let me know down below in the comments what kind of security camera setup you're using, if you're planning on putting these inside or outside. These really are actually an inside camera, but it seems a lot of people are sticking them on the outsides of their houses. I'm not going to do a full setup on these because they're very easy to set up, and I have set them up in our other videos. All the Wyze cameras set up very similar. I'll have one of those videos linked down below if you want to see the step-by-step to set it up. But right now, let's jump into the app. I'll show you the features of the camera, and then we'll compare the three so you can make a smart decision when you're purchasing your next camera. Now, like I mentioned before, I'm not going to do a whole setup on the phone with this, but I did at least want to show you what came with it. You do get the power brick, and it is a standard USB power brick, so if you have another power brick, those will work. It operates off of a standard USB cable. This is still the micro USB, not the Type-C, but the cable is flat, which makes it pretty easy to route the cable through door frames and stuff like that. And then the camera itself. The base has a threaded base right there where you can mount this thing on any sort of a tripod mount or camera mount. Has a little SD card slot on the bottom. So I'm going to get this thing set up real quick, and then we'll show you what the app looks like. Now, while I'm doing the setup, I do want to mention that I have a link for this camera and all of the other cameras that I compare it to down in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. Now, something to be noted with the device setup, when you buy this thing, it does come with 2 weeks of free Wyze Cam Plus. After that, you do have to pay for it, and that gives you the person detection and a couple other things. So something to be aware of is that if you do want person detection for the setup, you are going to have to pay for it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. Okay, so everything is all set up in the app. You can see here the app is running and we're getting a live feed from our phone. So the first thing I want to show you is the latency, because that's always something that people ask about with the phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wave my hand in front of the camera, and then we'll see the delay between my hand waving and what's showing up on my phone. And you can see there, very little latency, which is pretty awesome. Now let's get into the app and just go through all the little features. So to get into the features of this app, you're going to go up to the little gear up here, hit that, and this is where you can set up all of your settings, and we'll be showing you how all these work in just a second. So the detection settings here, you can set up your motion sensitivity as well as your detection zone, and with the detection zone you can select areas that you do and don't want it to pick up so you don't get false alarms from things like cars driving by or stuff like that. Event recording, you can set it up for it to record when it detects motion or detects sound. You can also set up person settings in here if you've got the Cam Plus setup, which would be down here under notifications. And here, the Wyze AI events, that's where we're going to turn that on or off. So like in here, the Wyze AI events is going to be person detection. We're going to turn off all other motion because I don't care if a tree moves or something like that. And we're going to turn off sound events because that'll alert me when certain sounds happen. So now I'm just going to get alerts when the AI events happen. Now keep in mind this is only available through Plus, which you do have to pay for. There's also alarm settings. So if you have this inside, you can have it actually let you know if the camera here detects the sound of a smoke alarm or a CO alarm. And then down in the advanced settings, there's a lot of other awesome options. So we have a record to micro SD card setting. In the bottom of the camera, there is a micro SD card slot. You don't have to use one. This one does record to the cloud, but if you put that in there, you can do loop recording, and then you do have a version of your video stored locally. Also in here, you can manage your SD card, which would be formatting it and things like that. There's motor controls, and this you can adjust how fast or slow it pans, and then you can also reset your home position on it depending upon where you want the thing pointing. Now we're going to have the auto turned on for night vision when we start playing around with it, and then we're going to play around with all the settings once it gets dark a little bit later on. And here's all your other settings as well. including, you know, turning on and off timestamps if you need to flip the image 180 degrees if you're mounting the camera upside down, say in a garage like I have the other one mounted, etc., etc. And then you can also set up rules if you have other devices where if the camera senses motion, you can have turn your Wyze lights on and off, which is pretty neat if you've got all those other products. So let's go get this thing put out outside and let's talk and play around with the feature that really is the selling point of this camera, the night vision. So right now I've got the camera set up in the front yard. I've got it set up on my gate over there, and the reason why I've got it on my gate is because it points to my front yard back there. Now, I'm not gonna put any footage of neighbors going by because that's just creepy. Don't think they'd like that too much, but I'm gonna be going in and out to my car and up and down the sidewalk several times today, so I will get footage of me and you'll be able to see how well the thing picks up my motion and also tracks me. We'll do it again after dark so you can get an idea of how well it tracks motion and also does it with the night vision. You can actually see right now the camera's turned. It's looking at me, so it's doing it right now. So this will give you a good idea of how well the camera works as tracking motion in the front yard. I have the person detection on right now, so I should only be getting alerts as I go by and not leaves blowing, but we'll see how well that works as well. So let's check out that footage. So the trouble with these cameras is they are not weatherproof. So if you're going to use them outside, you do need a cover like this. Now the yellowing is the camera, not the cover. This camera's been outside for 2 years, like I said earlier. But the problem with the covers is the covers cover the actual camera itself. Now how the V1s have night vision, they have little infrared LEDs. And if you turn those on, it reflects inside the cover and it just blows everything out. I'm going to give you an example of that right here. So now we're going to take the V2 and put it inside the same cover and put it outside, and it looks like this. You see a huge difference because you don't have to use the LEDs to actually illuminate, so you don't have that reflection back. It's just using the natural light that's going on around it. And to give you an idea of how bright it actually is out here, I've adjusted the camera to really reflect what is reality. So this is how bright it is out here right now, and this is what you're getting on the sensor on the V2. So pretty darn impressive, especially seeing as what it was picking up on the V1. So I now have all my backyard lights off and you can see it is dark out here. The only thing you can really see here is the light from my microphone, but this is what that camera sees. Again, really impressive. Okay, so now we're up in the front yard and I have only the landscape lighting on. I got a lamp on the camera right now so you can see me. And I'm gonna show you what we've got set up here. We've got the original, the V1, the V2, the new one, and then over here I've got the Wyze Pan 360. Now this one is a 2K camera. These two are only 1080p. So we're going to be kind of pitting them against each other. This one is not going to do so great without the, you can see very faintly the little red LEDs on. This one should do just fine without using the LEDs. This one does use LEDs. So the big difference between probably this one and this one is going to be that this one is going to be a black and white image. This one will still be color, but because most people are using these as security cameras, we want to see how the image quality comes out, not just the color. So let's try them out. Now the first video here is of the Wyze Cam V1, and that is using the night vision and the infrared LEDs to illuminate me as I walk past. The second video here is of the Wyze Cam V2, and it is using that night sensor to give us a nice color image. And you can see the color image is really nice, but there's something I'm going to point out in just a second. This is the video quality coming from the Wyze security camera, and this one is using the infrared LEDs, but recording in 2K. And I want to take a look at something right now. This is a still frame from the V2 video, and if you're using this thing as a security camera, which I think most people are, you're going to have to identify the person in the video, and this is just fuzz. So what you're sacrificing, and you sacrifice this with every camera when they run into night mode, is they wind up sacrificing clarity of the image, and you wind up with a lot of pixelation and artifacts, and that's what we're seeing here. Now let's check out the one from the Wyze camera. This is the still frame from the Wyze camera, and there's a couple things going on here to note. The first thing is the Wyze camera is using infrared LEDs, so it is illuminating everything else in front of it, which the Wyze Cam was not in that previous image. The other thing is it's a 2K sensor, which is a much higher resolution sensor, so you're going to be able to make out things a lot better, and if you're using it as a security camera, you're going to be able to ID people better than you would if you were using the Wyze Cam Pan. And for our next test, we're going to be doing a test to see how long an alert takes to make it through to our phone. Now, the reason I'm doing all this at night is because this seems to be kind of what they're playing into with this camera. They're bragging a lot about the night sensor, so that's really the reason you'd be upgrading to this camera. So I'm doing everything in the dark. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to have the phone set up, I'm going to have alerts turned on, I'm going to have Wi-Fi off. So we're going to be using just the LTE connection on the phone, and we're going to see how long it's going to take from the point where I walk past the camera and it should see me to when I get an alert on my phone. We'll then compare this to the Eufy and the version 1 and see what the differences are. So let's check it out. So we're going to have the camera right here. I'm going to walk through that gate so it won't see me until I make it through the gate, and then we'll see how long it takes for the camera to alert me on my phone that it's seen me. Okay, so our first test is going to be with the Pan V2. We're walking up to the house right now. My phone is in my hand. My phone is not, it's basically in the lock screen, but it's not on. We're going to walk right past it. I'm coming into frame right now, and then we're going to see how long it takes for it to alert us that I've walked by. So let's watch the phone. Okay, there's our alert. So not bad. I'm going to put up on the screen, because I don't have a stopwatch with me right here, I'm going to put up on the screen what that time was. Now let's try the exact same thing with the Eufy Cam and see if that does any better. All right, same rules apply. We got our Eufy Cam set up, got our phone here, and we're going to walk past the camera. We are in frame right now. Let's see how long it takes. And there's our alert. It seems like that's a lot faster. I can't really tell, so we're going to put the time right up here. Now let's try that again with the V1 Wyze Cam Pan. So let's repeat the process one more time. We've got our phone. Come right through here. We're going to walk right past the camera. Now we're in frame.
Eventually.
Looks like it didn't get me at all. Let's try it one more time. Okay, we're gonna do a second try on the V1. Let's see what happens. So again, right about now, we're passing the camera. Let's watch the phone. And there's our alert from the V1. So let's go inside now and recap everything we just learned, talk about times, resolution, and everything else. So what are my final thoughts on these cameras? Well, first let's get down to the differences. We've got the Wyze V2, the original Wyze Pan, and then the Eufy camera. Now, the Wyze V2 has that new sensor, but is still recording in 1080, and currently it is sitting at $49 on Amazon, $39 on Wyze's site. The difference being on Wyze's site, you pay for shipping, so it kind of works out in the end. The V1 is looking at $37.99 right now on Wyze's site, but showing out of stock. I don't know if they're ever going to get them back, or if they're just switching over to the V2 here. And the Eufy camera here, you can get on Amazon right now for $51. So by Amazon, the Eufy camera is $2 more than the Wyze camera. So really, if we take this one out of the mix, because this is the outdated one, we're comparing these two cameras. Now, both cameras have their pluses and their minuses, and they're essentially the same price. Now, with the Wyze Cam Pan here, if you want AI, person detection, and all the intelligence built into it, you have to pay a monthly fee. It isn't that much, but you are going to pay that monthly fee for the Cam Plus. With the Eufy cameras, it is built in, and there is no cost to that. This camera has a 2K sensor. This camera has a 1080 sensor. This camera has that nice color night vision. The Eufy does not. So it really comes down to what your preferences are. I'm not going to tell you which one I would go with, because I really like both cameras. I am right now using more Eufy stuff around the house, but Wyze does make an excellent product as well, and definitely bang for your buck. They're good. Now, one thing to note is on the back of the cameras, the old Eufy camera had a USB port, which presumably was for daisy chaining, but you really couldn't daisy chain because the camera swiveled and would pull the cable around with it. This one does not have the USB port on the back. So there's definitely some new hardware going on inside there, which probably explains the difference in lag time between notifications. So I hope this video was informative, and I hope it's going to help you make a decision. Please let me know down in the comments what kind of system you're looking for and which direction you're going with cameras. Hope this video did help you out. If it did, go down below and hit that subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. Give the video a great big thumbs up, and of course, thanks for watching.